We're back on the air. This is Jeffrey Davis, and this is Radio Entrepreneurs. Rich Greene, who is joining us today as our new real estate reporter, the Panther Report. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. And you're going to talk to us today about real estate investment, correct?
Well, in particular, we're going to talk about the multifamily market. I affiliated with a firm, local firm in Woburn, that for the last 7 years has been in the multifamily, which are in vernacular owning apartment complexes for the last several years. There's a long history of other commercial real estate experience, very successful. But when the recession hit in 2008, there seemed to be a opportunity. The construction of multifamily basically came to a standstill. There wasn't lending. There were a lot of projects that went into default because the banks were going into default. There were construction projects that could not extend their construction loan and the debt had to be sold off. And in particular, Panther focused on the Southeast because there was on a relative basis, a lot of job growth going there. So over the last several years, they've built project in some markets. Some market might be McDonough, Georgia, which is 20 miles outside of Atlanta, or Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 20 miles south of Nashville. But there's a lot of industry growth, a lot of job growth. And it's not as expensive as building a tower that we're seeing in the Seaport, Boston area.
Right.
Thousands and thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands per square foot.
Well, this is an escalating market.
Yes,
This is a funny market, but America is a big property, and there's a lot of undervalued markets or markets that have a better ROI for an investment purpose alone.
Absolutely.
I mean, we all have to live here, but we don't have to invest here.
Well, one of the things, you speak to a lot of very talented entrepreneurs and oftentimes in the technology space, and part of our vocabulary, the term disruptive. And that's put a lot of businesses back on their heels. They haven't seen what's hit them,
Right.
Walmart versus the Amazons and things like that. But it's very hard to view multifamily real estate as something that can be disruptive. People have to live somewhere. If people lose a job, they need a more
You
affordable.
still have to live somewhere.
A more affordable place to live. People who want to telecommute, they still need a residence. Maybe they get a two-bedroom versus a single family, things like that. The risk in multifamily is oversupply when there's a lot of capacity brought on the market. But Jeff, the demand, people I think underestimate what this secular trend in renting is. There's a lot of, it used to be the kids out of school would rent for a few years before they can buy their home. Well, if they have a job, they may stay at home for a while, but they're not in a position to go and put down a large down payment and own a home. Now that we've recovered home prices, we have bidding wars. Houses do not stay on the market because they get bid up very quickly, and the credit requirements are much stricter than they were years ago.
Right.
So it's extending the typical life of the renter, from 2 or 3 years to several years.
Well, even a lot of the wealthy people I know, as the baby boomers are maturing, a lot of people I know are choosing to not carry mortgage as they're getting older. They're choosing to rent again.
Well, the apartment styles in the Southeast, I'm sure a lot of listeners and you're aware, are much different than here. They're garden style.
Right.
They have pools. They have dog parks. They have car washing stations. They've got clubhouses that match my country club.
Right.
So it's the aesthetics and the amenities.
It always amazes me when I go south. It's like,
Right.
how much was this?
Yes, it's $1,000 or $1,200 a month.
Right.
2-3 bedrooms in a lovely community. Usually are gated, lots of security,
And you have to pay more to work harder and live in Boston.
Well,
And it's worth it.
Yeah, there's
There's
benefits to all the standard of living and things like that. But yet, why do we see a migration down to the south? Why do people move to Florida? Why do they move to North Carolina? Because all things being equal, especially if you're at a retirement stage or you're sort of
More for the
starting
money.
out, you get more for the money.
And where is Panther located?
It's in Cummings Park in Woburn, Suite 7700. We can be reached at www or pantherpi.com. Happy to call myself, or if you go to the website, our principals are Luke Carger and Dave Massey.